Hey guys, welcome to this tutorial. My name's Timster. Today I'm going to be going over part 21 in the Project FPS tutorial series. Now in the last part we went ahead and we got the explosions for the grenades going. So if we say smoke grenade, throw that over there, and a normal grenade as well, you'll see the smoke grenade has some smoke and the normal grenade explodes. So if you haven't already watched that tutorial, definitely go ahead and check it out so you'll be up to date. But apart from that, yeah, we'll get straight on into this tutorial. Now apologies if the sound is a little bit off, and it sounds a little funny. I've basically had a cold with, sore throat and blocked nose and all of that good stuff. But yeah, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to this layer here. So this one right here with our fire on it. And if we select our fire here, our grenade fire, you'll notice that the animation plays from 0 to 5. So over here in our grenade explosion script, you'll notice that when we add it in, we're only adding it in for 2. So that basically means it only plays the first 2 frames of animation, like that, and then it gets deleted. So what we want to do is we want it to be alive for, let's say, 5, or actually from 0 to 5 is 6 different values, so I guess we can put down 6 there. So it will play the entire animation when the grenade explodes. Alright, and the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead to the smoke, so this main smoke here from the smoke grenade, and what we're going to do with this, we're going to go ahead, and first of all, we're going to press tab to go into edit mode, and we're going to press GZ to move it on the Z axis. And I'm going to move it up to the origin here is at the bottom of the texture. Then I'm going to press tab to go out of edit mode, and you'll notice that the yellow dot is down the bottom, and so now when these get spawned in, they'll scale from the bottom, like so. Now if you want to, you might want to bring it down a bit, like that. But yeah, there we go. So that is that done. Also, what we're going to do is on our smoke screen, we're going to add a motion to make it a bit more random. And let's just say on the y-axis. So maybe 0.05. So actually, you can see on the local axis that it is on the Z. So over here, let's go and put 0.05. So I guess we'll be traveling in that direction. Cool, so now let's go ahead and minimize that. Go back to layer 1 and try out the smoke grenade. So right here, throw one out, and there we go. So you'll notice the smoke spawns from further up as well. Now also what we can do to make this look a little bit better is add some sort of upwards motion as well. So if we go back to our smoke texture here, you'll notice that Y is the up axis. So let's put 0.05 on that as well. Alright, back to this layer, numpad 0, P, and select the smoke grenade, throw one out, and there we go. We have that working properly. Now also what we're going to do is over here, we're going to get the, well first of all go under our motion we've added to the dynamic smoke, and let's go over here and turn off any of the motion. So set it all to 0. Now they are spinning quite fast, so if you want to, maybe turn that down. Cool, so there we go, there are our smoke grenades going. Now if you want to, you can also increase how often the smoke is spawned, just by turning this down. Cool, so yeah, I think that should be about it done. Now one more thing that I had in the original demo was, I think it was if I press control, that I'll duck down as if I'm crouching. So yeah, let's go ahead and add that, and then after that I think we should be done. So let's go ahead and select the player head, or the main controller for it, so Alt H, then Z to go into wireframe, select the player head here with everything parented to it, and what we're going to do here is we will go ahead to frame 0, and then this here will change to the dope sheet. And over here, we will go, I guess, just make a new action. So this is going to be called crouch. And then over here, I'm going to select the F to save it twice. And on frame 0, I'm going to press I and location. And then on frame, let's just say frame 40, change this over here to global and just move it down So maybe somewhere around there, not too far, but sort of realistically a player crouched would look like. So maybe something like that, then I and insert location. And so now what we're going to do is go over here, add an action, add crouch, and this is going to be starting at frame 0 and at frame 40. And over here, choose flipper, and then on this side, we're going to add a keyboard. It's going to be left control on true pulse, and then you join that in there. Actually, we'll just turn off true pulse for now, see if that makes a difference. Minimize all of that, then go back to frame 0, numpad 0, and go to texture mode. Let's press P, and then we'll press left control, and there you go, we've ducked down, and if you let go, you move back up. Cool, so that is crouching done. If you wanted to, maybe you want him to crouch a little further, so let's go to frame 40, and just move him down a little bit. Now also, I'm going to press I, insert location, and then what I'm going to do is, the sort of crouch animation is quite slow, so I'm going to move it down 30 frames, or not 30 frames, 10 frames to frame 30. So I'm going to press A in this window, deselect everything, select this keyframe just by right clicking on it, and then GX -10, move it on the X-axis, -10. So now that should go from frame 0 to frame 30. So numpad 0, press B, and I guess we can go into texture mode as well. Move around, and if we press control, then we duck down. Cool, so there we go, that's all of that done. Now also what you can do is maybe if you want to have multiple keys for crouching, for example, maybe you want X to also crouch, what you can do here is add another keyboard. We should probably call this left control. And then this one here, for example, if you want X to also be crouch, then you can join that in here and change the AND to an OR. Either of these will trigger the action. This will also call crouch. Alright, and let's press numpad 0, like so, and press P. And so now we should be able to crouch using either of the keys. Now you'll notice it fires when I press X, so let's go back to our weapon layer over here, select the gun, and make sure we don't have anything set to it. So there we go, if we select the flare here, we are sending the message to shoot. So let's rename those, delete them, rename this, delete it, and just rename this and delete it. Now the reason we rename them before we delete them is sometimes it's a little bit of a bug. If you have heaps and heaps of AND and NAND controllers, then the game engine will sometimes muddle up the names, and if you delete one, then it will delete the other and that sort of thing. So an easy fix for that is basically just select, say, the flare spawn here, and then before you delete it, just rename it something irrelevant, and then just delete it like so. Alright, so let's do that for both the M24 and this over here, the Glock. And there we go. So minimize all of those, and minimize those. Cool, so that should be all of that done. So actually, let's go ahead and add in some sort of rays or impacts for the knife. Alright, so let's minimize these. Now you notice we have our bullet hit.py, so let's go over here and choose bullet hit.py. Now this one over here, we want to import in another ray, and this one is for the bullets, this one here is for the bullets as well. So let's make one more ray, so add another ray, and this here is going to be knife. So let's go ahead and call this enemy bullets, and then call the top one here ground bullet. Alright, minimize those. This one here, I guess you can just call knife bullet. Oh, not knife bullet. Actually ground knife for the first one. And then we want it when it collides with the property ground. So hopefully we have the same over here. Yep. And then the range, not very far out, so maybe about 10 at the most. And then let's make it negative Z axis. You can also select X-ray mode, so nothing gets in the way. So we also need one more ray. this one over here, this is going to be enemy knife. So, yep. And then over here, make it a range of 10 as well. X-ray, -Z. And I think enemy was the property here, but we'll double check. Yep. And then minimize both of those. Cool. So, yep. Let's go ahead and join them in to our impact controller. And then over here, let's import them in. So I guess this can be knife ray, so K ray, and there's going to be two. So let's call this one K ray 1. It's equal to c.sensors, and then ground knife. Oh, one word. And then the next one, K ray 2, c.sensors, and then enemy knife. Alright, and let's go ahead and just scroll up and copy and paste the first one here. So Control C to copy, and then go down a couple lines. Oh, there we go, and press Control V to paste, and then let's give ourselves some space. Over here, let's call this knife rays, and then over here, this first one is going to be K-ray 1 dot positive. We don't want this to be positive. We also want this here, equipped, to be equal to 5, and equipped to be equal to 5 over here as well. And actually, we're going to have to sort of change this up. So let's just delete all that. So we want the player to press the mouse button or the F key for this to sort of trigger. So there we go, those two. So let's select the rig here. Hold down shift and select the camera, and then control up arrow in this window to go full screen. And now what we want to do is join the knife here, join that up to the impact as well, and then also join the single to the impact, and minimize that. Alright, control down arrow to go back, and then select the camera, numpad 0, and in here we actually have to import in the extras. So the first one was knife, which is equal to c.sensors knife, and the other one was single, c.sensors single. So let's make sure that single is being pressed for the first one, and single dot positive. And then over here we're going to add or as an alternative, and that's basically going to be this here, except instead of single, it's going to be the knife. So just select all of this, Control C to copy, and Control V to paste, and then over here, instead of single, let's just put in knife. Right, and then a colon at the end of it, so all of this will get evaluated. Let's put K-ray 1, K-ray 1, and I guess you should probably just copy and paste this. So Control C, Control V. Alright, cool. So let's go ahead and copy and paste this, except doing it for the blood. So select all of this, Control C, then scroll down to the bottom line, press enter twice, and press Control V to paste. And in here, let's give ourselves some more space. And what we want to do is replace K-ray 1 with K-ray 2. K-ray 1, K-ray 2. We don't need any of this. So, this and here we will need. Make sure equipped is equal to 5. Or, again, K-ray 2 dot positive. And this here we don't need. So, make sure that's 5. And then the next part we want to do is copy and paste this. So Control C, and then over here Control V, paste it in. So this evaluates to true, and then otherwise we also have the knife dot positive. So Control C to copy, and then Control V to paste. Alright, and then in here let's sort of rearrange everything here. So K-ray 2, and then K-ray 2 over here as well. Let's go ahead and see what's happening. So let's go to the window, toggle the system control, and then on line 19, requested item ray does not exist. So, line 19, over here, ray does not exist apparently. Oh, it's because we've renamed them all. So, ray is ground ray, I think. So ground, oh, no, let's just leave it at ray and then change the actual name. So ground bullet, and then ray 2 would have been the enemy bullet. Enemy bullet. Alright, and yeah, that should be about it. Let's try it again. Yeah, there we go. Oh, and there we go, we have some knifing. Now let's check the range. That's getting a bit ridiculous. So let's go ahead and turn down the range here. Let's just say 5 maybe. Alright, like so. P to play again and select the knife. There we go. Cool. So that seems like a reasonable distance. And hopefully, there we go, we can do it to the enemy as well. Now one problem that we do have is you can spam the knife button and it will constantly knife, but the animation won't match up with it at all. So what we might want to do is make sure that the timer here, you'll notice that that is changing when we knife. So what we might want to do is make sure that the timer is set to 0. So let's scroll down, and over here add some more criteria. So we might need to import in, I think we do. So let's make a new field down here called properties. And actually, none of these items have the property. So what we're going to have to do is we'll import in it from the scene. So we have the scene here. Let's go ahead and add in the player with the property, which will be the gun spawn. So under the properties here, type in gun spawn is equal to scene.objects, and then a square bracket, quotation mark, and in here, put timer. Alright, and then closing quotation mark and square bracket. Now let's scroll down and make sure, actually not timer, we want gun spawn from here. So gun space spawn. So you'll notice it has a space in the name. And then actually from there, let's just choose the property timer. So from this, it will take the property timer. So actually in here, let's just call it timer. And then scroll down all the way to the bottom here. And for the knife raise, before the OR, let's add and timer is equal to 0. Oh, 0, there we go. And also over here, and timer is equal to 0. Scroll down and do it for this part here. So I guess just copy and paste this over here, Control C, and before the OR, Control V to paste, space, and then at the end here as well. Alright, so hopefully that should work now, and you'll notice that we can no longer completely spam the button. Although we can, but the animation sort of matches up with the hitting. So there is one more problem, and you'll notice with the smoke grenades, it's sort of shooting out the smoke at fairly fast speeds. So I think that is due to how fast we've made the smoke move. So over here, I think Z was the amount of movement. So let's change that to 0.01 and try it again. So select the grenade, throw it down, and hopefully that isn't looking too bad. So I don't think they're moving around as much. We'll make sure you're on frame 0 so the animation doesn't skip. But there we go, try that out. There we go. Cool, so we have the smoke working a bit better. It is still moving around a little bit. What you might also want to do is, like before, move the sort of origin up, like that, so it sort of scales a bit nicer and not so much upwards. But again, up to you. Alright, and one last thing that we're going to do is over here on the knife attack, we're going to turn off the continue here, just to make sure it is working smoothly. So there we go, guys. That's the end of Project FPS. Part 21 has been a very long journey. If you managed to stick on through most of it, or all of it, yeah, big thumbs up to you. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Yeah, if you did, let me know with a like, comment, or share down below. Now you'll notice this isn't the entire sort of series. There is still all the assets and the enemy AI and all of that sort of stuff. This is a major sort of part of it. But yeah, so I think next week I'll release a sort of video talking about how the rest of that is sort of going to work. And if you guys are still keen on it and all of that sort of stuff. If you have any more questions or, I don't know, anything else, requests or something like that, let me know in the comments down below. But apart from that, yeah, I think that will be about it, finally. So, either way, hope you enjoyed it, have an awesome week, and I'll see you guys in the next video.